Hi, I'm just about to start work on this garage door here. It's one of those metal up and over doors. Generally, the paint is in pretty good condition still. It looks quite stable, other than it's faded over time. It's lost quite a bit of its shine. There is, however, quite a bit of dirt on it. The birds have attacked it here and there. There's some evidence of car exhaust on it and stuff. So I'm going to have to wash it down first to get rid of all that dirt off the metal. And to do it, I'm going to be using this sugar soap here. You can get it either as a liquid or you can get it in a tub in a granular form, and that's where it gets its name from, because it used to look like sugar in the tub. But I'm going to be using this liquid version here. It's very good for removing grease and dirt, and also for getting nicotine stains off of interior walls and woodwork. So it's pretty good stuff, this. And on the instructions it says you've got to add 100 millilitres into your bucket of water, which is about a fifth of the bottle. So here we go. That's about it. And it's always a good idea when using the sugar soap to wear your rubber gloves to protect your hands. I'm going to pop these on a minute. Okay. So I'm using a Decorators Sponge here with the water. Yeah, that's looking better already. So I'm going to carry on washing down the rest of this door to get all the dirt off, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that's the door all washed down with the sugar soap, and I also rinsed it off with some clean water afterwards. It's looking nice and clean and better already. So the next stage is going to be to rub the surface down to make it smoother, and also to give better adhesion for the paint going on the top. So to do it, I'm going to be using 240 grade abrasive paper, which is quite a smooth abrasive paper because the paint is generally in good condition. If it was in poorer condition, I would probably use an abrasive like this, a 120 grade, but I wouldn't use anything rougher than 120, because if you do, and when you've painted over it, you can often see the lines in the background where the paint has all been scratched underneath, so be careful about that. So when it comes to rubbing the surface down, on the panels, or rubbing down vertically, on these horizontal rails here, go left and right, as if that's the direction you're going to be painting it. And these upward parts here, obviously, rub them up and down. So with this abrasive paper, it only needs a light rub like that. That's gone really smooth now, so no more than that. So I'm going to put on my dust mask now, and I'm going to carry on rubbing down the rest of that door, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that's the door all rubbed down now, so it's all nice and smooth and ready for painting. I also dusted it off with my dusting brush to get all the dust off the surface. Now the paint I'm going to be using to paint the garage door is this particular product called Metalshield. It's a gloss finish. It dries to a very high gloss finish, which is very tough and durable. It also is able to expand and contract with the metal as it gets hot and cold, which a lot of other paints don't, so they end up splitting and cracking and come away from the surface. Most paint manufacturers also do a paint like this, but they can be quite expensive. However, they do, on this particular product, give an 8-year guarantee, which is very good. Another thing which is good about these sort of paints is you do not need to apply an undercoat. You just apply 2 coats of this product directly over the door, as long as the paint which is already on the surface is in good condition. If you're going over bare metal, you will have to apply a metal primer first. So that's the paint I'm going to be using on the door. To apply the paint, I'm going to be using this 2-inch pure bristle brush. It's a good quality one. It's a Hamilton Perfection brush. I prefer the bristle brushes when I'm applying a solvent-based paint like the one we're going to be using today. And I'm also going to be using one of these little mini rollers with a foam sleeve on it like that to apply the paint as well. So, I'm going to paint this door as if it is 3 individual panel doors, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, like that. And I'll be starting with the panels. So I'll be painting the panel as well as that outside part there first. So that's the parts of the door I'll be painting first. Then I'll be painting the horizontal rails secondly. And then last of all, I'll be going down the sides of the door like that. So I'm going to go and get my paint ready and I'll be back in a minute. So I'm ready to start painting the door now. What I've already done is I've already been round the edge of the door. So I always do that first, because if you do it last, you end up with a bit of a thick edge which is visible on the front of the door. So I've already done that. So I'm going to start painting this panel here, and I'll be going around the edge first and do the flat part of it last of all. Over there. So I'm only putting about 1 centimetre of paint on my brush. A little wiggle to get in that corner. It's important not to put too much paint on the brush because it can quite easily run down over these panels. I'm also trying not to get too much onto the flat part of the door there, because you'll end up with a ridge. If you do, just get some cloth and wipe it off. One more edge to do. So I'm pulling it away from the corners after I've applied it. So that's all the edges of the panel done. Now I'm going to do the flat part here. Oh, there's a little hair there. Get him out. Yes, I'm going to do the flat part of the panel now, and I'm going to use that little foam mini roller to apply the paint. The good thing about these mini rollers, the foam ones, is it's difficult to apply too much paint with these, so you're less likely to get runs on your finished work. So I normally go in all different directions initially to spread the paint out evenly on the panel. And then lay it off by coming down like that. Now you could leave it with that finish there if you like that sort of finish. I know some people do, but I always prefer to lay it off afterwards with the paintbrush. So you're going to lay it off, start about 1 inch down and come down, and go back up again, like that. Don't come down from the top because you end up getting paint build up and it runs down over the top. And only very light pressure on the brush. So, there we go, that's the first panel completed. So I'm going to crack on and do the other 2 panels and I'll be back in a minute. Well, that's the 3 panels all finished now, so I can now start work on these horizontal rails across here. So, take these off for a second. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply the paint with a roller like I did on the panels. Like that. Now I'm just going to lay it off with the brush. Just very gently with the tip of the brush. Like that. So that's the first rail done. So make sure you extend a bit further than the actual rail itself when you do these. Set them up. Now just the bottom one, so I'll open the door a little bit so it's easier to get to. There we go. Gently with the tips of the bristles. Right, there we go, so that's those rails finished. So all I've got to do now is to paint these side stiles in the same way. So when I've done that, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that's that first section complete now. So now I'm going to move on to do the second and third sections, and when I've done them we'll have a look at what it looks like. Okay, so that's the first coat all finished now, and I should be able to put the second coat on it tomorrow. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, why not subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with all my latest videos.